You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Steelers Nation, it's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on your 24/7 home of the black and the gold on a Thursday here heading into a bye week. A little bit of a, different show today maybe. We will have, some normal Steelers-related conversation as we always do. We're going to jump back into some of our college quarterback conversation as well, Matt. It's been or I guess just last week was the week we took off due to traveling to Ireland and a different schedule and all that kind of stuff.
We will stay on top of that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a handy-dandy little spreadsheet for us that I'll continue to kind of update and add to throughout the season. And we're also going to catch up in about 10 minutes with our buddy Bob Labriola. So let's jump right into it here before we get to Labs. Matt, we spent a lot of time. There were a lot of different things that you and I, that you and Dale, that Moats and I, that everybody who, did Steelers content, radio, writing, video, whatever, throughout the offseason spent time discussing.
Oh, yeah.
A couple key things. You got to get those sack numbers back up.
Yeah.
You got to improve the
yards per rush.
Yards per rush has to improve. We talked about turnover differential and sack differential and explosive play differential.
Red zone offense.
Another one.
Yeah.
And there's been some of those departments, I think, certainly where they have shown growth, shown improvement, taken steps forward.
Yes.
There's been some of those where they've still left to be desired.
Yeah, 100%.
So I wanted to, as we are, it kind of stinks. Like, you can't call it the quarter way into the season anymore. Because
but it's pretty close.
But pretty much, since we're basically
1 month in the books.
We got a month in the books. It's the bye week. It's time to maybe take a look at some of those bigger picture things.
And we're into bye week season.
Yes.
That means you're pretty far into things.
Exactly right. And let's start with the one that you always say is, and not just you, I mean, the facts back this up. It's not like it's a personal belief. That
right.
Turnover differential, the number one indicator of success in the National Football League on a team basis. The Steelers so far, +7 through 4 games. That's great.
Humongous. You know why they're 3-1, and okay, you're losing the yardage differential and things like that. Yardage differential is not as important as turnover differential. It just isn't, and that this has been a Steeler theme for a long time now. No matter who the quarterback is, a lot of changes on defense. They're super opportunistic on that side of the ball. I was on a different podcast earlier, as I'm on a lot. I don't know if you heard the Robert Flores quote from this week. Someone asked him, they were talking about turnovers and things like that. He's like, so I got a young daughter. You'll get a kick out of this. You got a young daughter. And like, if she hugs me for bed and isn't trying to get the football out, she's out. You got to keep punching at the ball no matter what, Like, I love
That's
it.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
She's not working on ball security. She's crawling up into the bunk.
Right. If she's going to hug me, she better be at least punching at that football.
That's a good one. That's a real good one by Brian Flores. That's hilarious. I like that.
So they're +7.
+7, great place to be, great start.
Yeah.
The only game that they haven't been positive in the turnover differential was the one they lost to Seattle where they were neutral.
It was 0, yeah.
0. I mean,
I'm actually looking at it now, too.
Because the Caleb Johnson one didn't actually count.
It actually doesn't
turnover,
count, but it obviously is the same effect.
I was going to say, if that doesn't happen, maybe you end up winning that game, but that technically for this exercise doesn't factor into this.
Right.
While the turnover differential is very encouraging, +7 through 4 games, keep that rolling. The explosive play differential, both in the run game and the pass game, still leaving plenty to be desired, Matt.
Yeah.
-8, explosive run, 10 or more yards. That's how we track this. 10 or more yards is an explosive run. Steelers are -8.
But at least they were +3 this past week.
Better this past week.
That's the first explosive thing that went their way.
In the explosive run differential so far, -6 against the Jets, -3 against Seattle, -2 against New England, +3 against Minnesota. So, hey, their most recent performance was their best performance. Yeah. Let's continue to see more of that.
I mean, at least you're not living in everyone remembers the Jets game. They were just getting gashed for explosive runs.
Yeah, Fields and Breece Hall.
Right.
Explosive pass differential has been the opposite. The Steelers won it their first game and have lost it their last 3, +3 against the Jets, -6 against Seattle, -2 against New England, -5 last week in the explosive pass differential in Dublin against the Vikings. They are -10 overall on the season. 20 yards or more is an explosive pass play.
One note, and I just happened to hear it on a podcast as I was pulling in, is I think Seattle is number 1 in explosive pass rate. I mean, that's your worst game there. I mean, you wouldn't think Smith-Njigba Cup. They don't have like these Randy Moss, Tyreek Hill guys.
Numbers through
September. But they're scheming it up, and they're hitting big plays, and Darnold is not missing downfield.
So, overall, though, this does not
paint
a pretty
terrible,
picture.
Right? Yeah.
-18 through 4 games combined in the explosive pass and rush differential. -3 against New York, -9 against Seattle, -4 against New England, and -2 against the Vikings.
Just think being -9. I mean, it's hard to win a game when you have 9 fewer explosive plays than your opponent.
Yes.
Yeah,
those are 20-yard passes.
Right. I mean, that's substantial stuff.
That right there on the surface is...
No wonder they lost. They were -9 and explosive. Right.
20-yard gains there that many times that's not gonna paper cut you to death. That's just gonna take you out.
You were even in turnovers that game, and you were -9 in explosive play differential. That's a rough way to live.
That's a rough way to live. It certainly is. That's the one that really needs to get moving in the right direction, because sack differential did not start out well, but has returned to form of where we want it to be.
I hope we're where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
Not that this is the flash in the pan.
And you pointed to this in the offseason, all throughout training camp, and when we would have these type of conversations, that this is the one that you really think that they could get turned around pretty easily.
Yes.
-3.
Now, the one thing, though, and I have brought this up before, I thought Rodgers would take fewer sacks, but he's just not very mobile. You know,
He's
right.
And he's getting rid of the ball quick.
And the ball's coming out, so that part's working. But I thought sack avoidance was something I would be more keen on than I am at the moment, But them getting after the quarterback is obviously taking over.
Especially the last 2 weeks, because the first 2 games, Steelers -3 in the sack differential against New York, -1 in that department against the Patriots, but then +1 against Seattle, -3 against New York, -1 against Seattle, but then +5 against the Patriots, +4 against the Vikings, +9 in their last 2 games.
Yeah, now you're talking.
+5 overall. Now we're talking. Now we're
talking. Yeah, I mean, if you could keep a similar pace, I don't think you're going to average +4.5 every game, these last 2. But if you're at least in the positive, I think that's something I can definitely live with, and I think they probably should be.
Yes. That's an area where they need to and should make hay.
Yes.
The first couple weeks, Cam Hayward was still knocking off the rust. You didn't have Derek Harmon in those first couple of weeks. Now you've gotten both of those things moving in the right direction. Herbig and TJ Watt are playing at a high level. Here comes Keanu Benton as well, too, with his best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Highsmith returns. Right. Patrick Queen is added in this department as well, too. Man, he trucked Carson Wentz at Croke Park.
So I just started fiddling with Matt's stats for the Browns, and obviously I can't do a lot because they haven't played yet. So I did all Steeler stuff. I think 11 different Steelers have a sack this year.
Woo!
It's like 11 or 12. It's double-digit defenders. That's a ton.
That's impressive.
So they're getting them from all over.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a Ramsey sack yet, I don't think. I bet you he'll get one at some point.
I'm sure Elliott and right.
No, that's
Clark or Peppers or right.
That's
but they're blitzing a lot and they're bringing a lot of different people.
That's encouraging. So this is something that we'll keep an eye on throughout the season. But just to wrap it up, turnover differential, Steelers +7. Keep that up. Sack differential +5. It's gotten a lot better the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Let's keep
feeling good about both those things.
Just feeling real good about both of those things. Explosive runs -8. Explosive pass differential -10. Add those up, that's -18. That's got to at least get closer to neutral.
Yeah.
Even if it's not going to be a strength for them, fine, but it can't be that large of a weakness.
I think they have been better in allowing them. I think the tackling's better. They were a really bad tackling team the first 2 weeks, and maybe that's just how the season started. And I would like to see play action, throw a bomb a little bit more. Take 2 shots at least a game.
Yeah.
They haven't taken any shots.
I'm with you on that, and I'm hopeful that that's kind of the final piece of the offense that we're going to see here. Obviously, a lot of things relate to that. Pass pro being probably at the forefront. Maybe that's something that we'll talk to our buddy Bob Labriola about when we return on the other side. Plenty to get to on a busy week with our buddy Bob Labriola when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, you are tuned in to The Drive at Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on the drive here on a Thursday, and to the phone lines we go. It's time to catch up with Steelers historian, asked and answered, Steelers.com, Steelers Digest. Of course, you all know the great Bob Labriola. Labs, thank you for taking the time here for us on a Thursday. I did want to ask you before we got into some particulars, maybe just a bigger picture question coming off the back of this weekend, the historic game at Croke Park in Dublin, Ireland. Labs, I don't think there's too many people that Matt and I could talk to here on the show that would kind of be better positioned to talk about what having that regular season game in Dublin finally, what winning that first regular season game in Dublin meant to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization and obviously particularly the Rooney family.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin certainly talked about it a little bit. The whole thing, it was Dan Rooney's vision to bring American football to Ireland, and in 1997 he did that. It was a preseason game against the Chicago Bears, and because it was a preseason game. A lot of it he had to kind of put it together himself. I mean, there wasn't a lot of league involvement in it. And so it really was, I think, at that time, a labor of love for him. And then to have it evolve and blossom into the first NFL regular season game ever played there. Their family, that's their homeland. The team is their family business and has been for generations now. And for it to be such a rousing success, for have it to be so well received, certainly in Ireland, by the Irish people, a success by any measure in terms of the production of it, the ticket sales, what it looked like, what it sounded like, all of those things for the people who were in Croke Park or watching it on TV, and then the Steelers won the game. So, I really don't know if I can put it into words, but I'm sure for the family, for the organization, it was huge to be able to deliver a win there, and then for it to be so well received, I think is kind of the cherry on the sundae.
Yeah, well said, Labs. And it was an awesome environment, and I gotta be honest, I was sweating the last couple minutes of the game, though. I mean, it would have been a whole different feel if Minnesota could have sneaked that one out.
Yeah, but I mean that seems to be
what the league is.
This team's MO. Close games, one-score games. But I've seen some stats talking about how well the Steelers have done in one-score games. So, it's probably an attribute. It certainly didn't do much for my nervous stomach.
Right.
But as I said, it was a win. And let me say this too: I thought that they also looked better than they had in any of the three previous games.
That was actually my next question for you. Do you think that's the best they've played?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the best team they played too.
True.
Which is a factor. And so, I don't see any negatives that came out of it. I really don't, except for maybe, the injuries to Jalen Ramsey and maybe Calvin Austin.
Yeah, no doubt. That's certainly something that we're going to monitor here post-bye week and hopefully get an update on early next week. It is Bob Labriola with us here on The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Labs, we're through the month of September, and Matt and I were kind of laughing in the opening segment. You can't really do the quarter poll thing anymore now because there's 17 regular season games, but fairly close. What are your impressions of Aaron Rodgers so far? I thought another incredibly efficient performance, effective, buttoned-up performance by him at Croke Park, and exactly what this offense needs while they continue to try and develop an identity and find their footing.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about a lot of different things with respect to Aaron Rodgers, and in previous times you guys and myself have got together. I've sung his praises. And certainly I didn't see anything against the Vikings that changed my mind. But what I thought he really gave the Steelers specifically against that team and against that defense was his ability at the line of scrimmage to, I think the way Mike Tomlin referred to it once is use cadence as a weapon. And not that he was drawing them off sides or anything, but Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, I guess his signature, his calling card, however you might want to describe it, they do a lot of disguising. They're aggressive. And, Harrison Smith, their veteran safety, is kind of Brian Flores' extension on the field. And, he gets the group into the disguises and out of the disguises, in a timely fashion, because you don't want to tip your hand too soon, or you don't want to be too late. And so, you kind of got to thread that needle there in the time frame thing. Well, what I think Aaron Rodgers was doing was he was with some of the, going deep into with the play clock. He was forcing the Vikings to show their hand, I think, and then react to it quickly, recognize it, and then do what needed to be done in terms of, counteracting or combating what he saw at that point. I don't know that there's anybody else who could do that as well. Certainly no one else the Steelers have had since pre-elbow surgery Ben who could handle that kind of assignment. And I think that was a big part of, some of those plays we saw, some of the maybe some of the big plays in terms of yardage, but also with the running game. Getting the whatever, if he's calling blocking assignments or keeping the Steelers at the line of scrimmage long enough to figure out what the Vikings were going to do, and then they could deal with it better than maybe with another quarterback. So that kind of, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet or anything, but that kind of, veteran savvy, veteran presence, it's invaluable. It just is, and he's giving this team something that it hasn't had, and I believe it's something that this team needs, not only for this Vikings game, but now moving forward through the rest of this schedule.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And above the neck, I think he's just been fantastic. And that's brains, but I want to talk about a little bit of brawn. We saw a new wrinkle here with a lot more Darnell Washington and a lot more Spencer Anderson as a sixth offensive lineman. Do you think that beefy set is something that's here to stay?
The corned beef package, Labs, is what Matt and I called it.
If that's what's necessary to run the football, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe that has something to do with a particular opponent and their particular defense, how you use that, how often you use that. Maybe some wrinkles come off of that based on the particular opponent and the particular defense that opponent uses. But I certainly would be in favor of that if that's what's necessary to get the running game going. Mm-hmm. And I think that everyone would agree that the Steelers' running game was what it needed to be against the Vikings in that game. It was what it needed to be for the first time this regular season. So, again, I don't know enough about it to, break down any of it's good with outside zones or inside zones or any of that kind of stuff. If that's what is necessary, fine. And if you can do that, then you maybe create a little bit of an identity or maybe a little bit of a tendency, which then sets up, for you to do something different out of that to surprise that particular defense. For example, Darnell Washington, just because he's out there doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a running play. Mm-hmm. Now, I personally believe that Darnell Washington's role with the Pittsburgh Steelers is not ever going to be strictly a receiving tight end. So if the opponent, for example, seems to have caught on to Darnell Washington and Spencer Anderson are on the field, it's got to be a run. Well, maybe, down the seam, because number 8 can diagnose that quick, get the ball out quick. It will be on target and on time. And, tight ends going down the seam are not necessarily an easy thing for the opposing defense to deal with.
No, they're certainly not. Labs, I wanted to ask you as well. We've seen some attrition, I think, certainly to this Steelers team, particularly on the defensive side of the football early on in the season. At one point, as we've all pointed out, they had a secondary that was entirely made up of guys who weren't on the team last year when Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. were both out. Deshaun Elliott returned to action on Sunday in Dublin, made an immediate impact. Matt and I were kind of trying to find the term for him. Like glue guy almost sounds like you're underselling him. Like he's
he's more impact than that.
Like he's like a fourth line goon on a hockey team or something, and he has much more impact than that. And I thought that was, perfectly on display Sunday against the Vikings.
Yeah, and the thing with Deshaun Elliott too is, I've heard people compare him to Ryan Clark. Now, the difference between those two players for me is, Ryan Clark may have been that kind of communicator, hub of communication in the secondary, but I think Ryan Clark was on the field more often than not a complimentary guy. Mm-hmm. He was, and this is not meant to be a criticism. He was Troy Polamalu's sidekick. If they were Batman and Robin, Troy was Batman.
Pretty clear who Batman would be. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But Deshaun Elliott, he has some ability to be Batman when it's necessary. Taking the ball away, making big hits, different kinds of things like that. So I don't really know if I can compare him to someone. But let me just say this: he is critical. I will say that, and he is a guy who, if you want to rank the defensive players that you can't afford to lose to injury, just off the top of my head, he's top 5 easy.
Yeah.
Easy top 5.
We had a very similar conversation a day or two ago where I'm not sure in the offseason I would have had him as high as I do now, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because even last year, I didn't know or hadn't seen, and maybe it was strictly because of, the personnel on the field, and Minka was there at the time, and the way they were playing defense or whatever. But I liked Deshaun Elliott a lot right from the beginning, when he came to the Steelers. But I didn't know he was this good, or I didn't see it. Well, I don't want to say irreplaceable because, then you're almost, teasing the gods here, mm-hmm. the injury gods, and I don't want to do that. But as I said, I'll just stick with what I had said earlier. If you're going to list the guys who you cannot lose to injury on this defense, Deshaun Elliott is easily in the top 5.
So Highsmith has been injured, and I think he's a very, very good player. We know exactly what TJ Watt is. But Herbig blows me away, Labs. I mean, every time he's gotten on the field, it seems like he makes an impact. He's there. And when he plays extended stretches, he's just as potent. I don't know how you keep him off the field, and I don't know how to handle that. But I think he is a real find.
Yeah, and, what he has evolved into this season that I didn't think he was last season was not a liability against the run.
Agreed.
Because, in Herbig's first couple of seasons, a lot of people, why don't they move him to inside linebacker? Steelers fans love that. Moving Shazier to safety, right. All of that kind of stuff.
Darnell Washington to left tackle.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah.
But I just didn't think, Nick Herbig was built physically for the interior on an NFL defense. Just his physical, size and whatever. But now he is, I don't know that he's any bigger. Maybe he is stronger, but I think he may be just smarter and more experienced, and he knows how to deal with things better. Because, there were times last year and, before that where, Nick Herbig to me was almost like a pinch runner in baseball. A guy who could be very effective, but in a limited role. And
Specialist.
you put him in the game. It could be a critical situation, too. You put him in the game for him to perform his specialty, which was getting after the quarterback and doing it in an athletic way with speed more than power. And, it was kind of I hate using these baseball things, but, you had Highsmith, who was, and I don't want to pigeonhole him either, but he was more of a power kind of rusher, and Herbig was more the speed kind of rusher. And I don't know, I would imagine a tackle who is dealing with one of them for a good bit of the afternoon, and then the other one coming in, and if the tackle isn't really watching the defensive substitutions or whatever, he might come out of the huddle, get in his stance, look up, oh, God, it's the other guy. And before you know it, the ball snapped, and you're dealing with something you really weren't expecting. So, but I don't think Nick Herbig is that anymore. I'm not saying that he's not quick and fast and athletic off the ball. I don't think he's one-dimensional anymore. And I don't know.
He's got to play a lot. He has to play a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't curtail his playing time if Alex Highsmith gets healthy.
It's a nice problem to have, but right.
Yeah,
right.
more than you can use is better than not enough, I would imagine.
No doubt. And there's a nice maybe leadoff hitter versus cleanup hitter type of analogy there, but no, that makes a lot of sense, and that certainly is a good problem to have. Bob Labriola, kind enough to give us some of his time here on a Thursday. Labs, great stuff. Thank you so much as always, and enjoy the bye week.
Yeah, I was just going to say happy bye week, fellas.
Oh, can't wait. Thanks,
Mike
Labs.
Tomlin would tell you, don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy, right?
I'm going to Nemacolin with the Misses, Labs, so I better be on
well,
my best behavior.
I got no worries about you, but because if you were saying you were going to Morgantown or something, I was gonna try and warn you.
No hooting and
burning couches.
No hooting and hollering for me this weekend, Labs. Just on my best behavior with the Misses. Thanks for the time as always, Bob.
All right, take care.
There he is, Bob Labriola, Steelers historian, Steelers Digest, Steelers.com, asked and answered, part of the Steelers pregame show, regular here on The Drive. He does it all. Great stuff, as always, by Labs. Matt, when we come back to close down the first hour of the show, what do you say? You want to jump back in and take a look at some college quarterbacks?
Yeah, I'm psyched to do that.
How they've, they're a little further along than their kind of quarter pole position in the college football season. We got some real...
They're not quite the halfway yet, I would say, though, right?
After this week, we'll be about halfway.
Okay.
After this week, most of the teams will have played 6 games. It's a 12-game.
Makes sense.
Now, there's...
I mean, a lot of guys are going to end up in the playoffs.
And conference championship games and playoff games. And so, but yeah, we are getting closer to the halfway point of the college football season. Plenty to discuss with some of these quarterbacks. And we will do so when we return. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here on a Thursday as we roll along. We will have, I was thinking maybe early next week, Matt, we can do like some bigger picture global stuff, like pick division winners. And
yeah, I'd like to re-pick division playoff teams and
some of that stuff. Like by Wednesday, we'll be fully focused on the Browns.
Oh, of course, yeah.
But Monday,
Tuesday will be a little weird.
Will be a little weird.
We'll
we can
recap
do
some stuff of the weekend.
Absolutely. We will certainly go around the league and all that.
I might even want to pick like MVP to this point. Almost treat it like the quarter pole.
Love it.
Right,
absolutely
yeah.
love it. And so we'll do plenty of that. Monday and Tuesday, I think, before kind of turning the page on Wednesday to the Browns. One thing, though,
we might have to dip back into this even on Monday or Tuesday.
I mean, so,
at least bring it up, you know.
A little, what have we been calling it? College quarterback kind of report, if you will, maybe the college QB report. This is something we did the first couple weeks of the season. Took a week off last week just because we were traveling for 2 days, and when we were in Ireland with a couple hundred people at the pub, they didn't want to hear us talk about college quarterbacks. They wanted to hear us talk about the Steelers.
And we don't have to do it every week, but we need to check in.
No doubt.
Right? Yeah.
No doubt. And so I kind of started putting together a little spreadsheet for us. I'll beef this thing up, corn beef this thing up more over the bye weekend and early next week. But Matt, I got a couple names that I want to discuss with you today. You want the familiar faces, some of the names that we've discussed already?
Quick question for you before we dig in, because I think I know the answer, but it sounds like a lot of people are like, oh, this quarterback class isn't what everyone thought it was going to be. It's a little disappointing through a month, but there's new names.
So to me,
as there always is.
To me, that's the people that had been harping on Arch Manning,
Uhler,
Lenoris Sellers, Drew Uhler, Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik.
Right.
Those are the big 5 names coming into this year.
Yes.
4 of those, I think Sellers is different because he got a concussion, he got hurt, he just got back into the lineup.
He's not disappointing.
He's not disappointing. He just missed a couple games with injury.
Okay, right.
John Mateer is kind of in that same department now,
He was
too.
on the list, and yeah.
But those other guys, yes, have not bathed themselves and covered themselst in glory to this point.
Right,
it's been a rough
it's
start.
Not like they're running away with the first overall pick for any of those
It's
guys.
been a rough start for Arch Manning. Klubnik and Nuss have been up and down. Aller's been up and down.
More down?
Well, it's tough to judge because they played 3 little sisters of the poor.
Yeah.
You know,
They've only played one
Villanova
real
and
good
Akron,
game.
and then he wasn't good against Oregon in kind of their first real test of the season. It's also Oregon, though, who's been one of the best programs in college football for the last few years.
Yeah. And they were highly competitive in that game. They didn't lose 40-0.
Oregon's won like 16 of their last 17 games, and the only one they lost was to the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes last year. You know, like
they're a top 7 or 8 program. At least,
yes. Oh, their coach Dan Lanning. If I could have any coach to be WVU's head coach for the next 10 years, it would be Dan Lanning, who's the head coach of Oregon right now. So let's
I didn't know you thought of that strongly. Okay.
Yeah, it's his 4th year as the head coach there,
yeah.
And I mean they've been in the national championship, won the Big Ten last year, their first year in the conference,
pumping out tons of pros.
Programs
got a little money.
Programs certainly in the NIL era with the help of Phil Knight, they can do a little flex in there more than most can, and
they got a quarterback.
They have a quarterback in Dante Moore. He's the one who everybody is talking about now in this discussion. He started his college career at UCLA. He's now in his 2nd year at Oregon, Matt. And, I mean, going into that whiteout, that crazy environment at Penn State that it is, 110,000 people, night game. All he did was throw for 250, 3 touchdowns, no sacks, no turnovers, ran for 3 first downs as well, too. Obviously, more tests to come for him as the season goes along, but I think that was the first time for him that he had been in a national spotlight. A lot of people who hadn't heard the name Dante Moore before, and I don't think he could have showed much better. Everybody now who does this, I don't care if you're looking at it from an NFL perspective of like who are going to be the top quarterbacks coming out, mock drafts and that kind of thing, like we do it, or if you're just somebody who is a college football person and it's a Heisman list or a top quarterbacks list, he is quickly rocketing up every list, every draft board, and rightfully so.
Yeah. I mentioned I was going to watch the J.T. O'Sullivan quarterback school of him against Penn State. I think I threw the first half, but it was enough to really get a good feel. And O'Sullivan even mentioned, he's like, this kid was dynamite at the Elite 11. Like, people have known who he is.
Yes.
You don't go to Oregon as a starter with, just
sure.
fall out of the sky. Right. But he's well-built, real effortless thrower. I mean, the ball comes out of his hands nice and
real quick. Didn't
see a lot of mistakes, in a big game like that too. So again, you're more on top of the stuff than I am this time of year, but he's starting to get a lot of buzz as could be the first pick of the draft.
Yes.
Like that. It seems like that's when that's just starting.
And you know how this works. It's almost like the NFL power rankings. Like it's back and forth every week. But a lot of people who do those weekly mock drafts, he was number 1, number 2, number 3 this week for a lot of people.
Makes sense.
Not surprising. Bye week for Oregon this weekend.
Because other guys aren't also grabbing it either.
Other guys also aren't again. Like it hasn't been I still think by the time we get to April, we're going to be talking about 5, 6, 7 of these guys being drafted in the first round.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been the Usain Bolt start out of the chute that I think a lot of people expected. Bye week for Oregon this weekend. Bye week for our guy Fernando Mendoza this weekend.
He's also hot.
He is another Heisman favorite right now.
Yeah.
Went into a tough environment in Iowa, played well, led them on a scoring drive with like 90 seconds left in the game, threw the game-winning touchdown pass. He's another would-be a top 5, top 10 pick if the draft was happening this. If tonight, Thursday, was the first round of the NFL draft like it is, he'd be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
Those two quarterbacks, those two teams both off this Saturday. But next Saturday, they meet
you got to watch that one.
In Eugene, Oregon at Autzen Stadium, which is going to be a top 10 matchup. 3:30 game, crazy atmosphere. That's a must watch. I think just if you're looking for a good game, need to watch it. And if you are especially kind of trying to keep an eye, even if you're someone who doesn't really give a rip about college football,
right. Like I don't care who wins.
You want to keep an eye on the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
those are two quarterbacks who could certainly be drafted in the top 10. We could be all from February, March, April talking about them as potential Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay. My one question. I've seen some of Mendoza. Again, I haven't studied any of these guys.
I send you random clips and stuff from time to time.
Yeah. He's not
look at this throw that he just made.
He's not a super athlete runner, though, right?
He is not.
Okay.
I wouldn't say he's the Statue of Liberty back there.
No one is now.
No one is now. But he's not.
There's no Drew Bledsoe.
He's not Sellers. He's not Dante Moore. He's not to that level.
I mean, whenever I'm always looking through a draft lens. If we're talking about Moore, Sellers, and Mendoza, and maybe you know better than I, but it seems like to me they're probably if the draft were today, maybe they'd be the ones fighting for top spot.
I would think so.
The knock on him will be, well, he's not as athletic as the other two.
Correct.
Everyone's gonna have a positive column and a negative column.
And now he might have the more traditional kind of frame and body type.
Yeah.
But
depends what you're looking for.
As you point out all the time now, it's not that you have to necessarily be a dual threat guy, but you have to have some level of run game and mobility in your game.
Yeah, I mean there was always a bar you had to get over.
That's it. There's a bar,
and the bar is way higher than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, let alone Drew Bledsoe 20 years ago. You have to have some. Plus, while you learn, everyone knows the transition in the league is so hard. You can rely on your legs as a cheat code. While you're learning.
Saw some of that from Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Saw that from Lamar. I mean, a lot of guys who have turned into very good passers, but were able to buy themselves some time while they were getting there.
I actually think Mike Shanahan with Washington, when he was the then Redskins head coach, really did that with RG3. Was the first one that just said, okay, I know you got a lot of work to do, but you're going to be a super, just when you're not sure, run. That was way ahead of its time.
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't seem like that long ago.
It really doesn't. A couple new names to throw at you, Matt, here. I want everybody at home to kind of add these to their spreadsheets, add these to their names to be keeping an eye on.
And this is the first we brought up more, too.
This is the first time we brought up more. I got 3 more to bring up to you here now. Jaden Miava out of USC. Started his college career at UNLV. He's now in his second year with the Trojans. 6'4", 230.
I like that.
And he can move. He's got 15 total touchdowns already. Comfortably number 1 in QBR through September amongst college football.
Yeah.
Played so many snaps, made so many throws.
Does ESPN do college QBR?
They do.
Okay,
yes, they do. I thought USC had a dramatic comeback win in a top 20 matchup against Illinois last week on the road. Big win for them. Big win for Lincoln Riley, their head coach, who had kind of been on the hot seat coming into this year. I thought it was his worst game of the season. He still threw for 364 yards, had a QBR of 85.5.
Okay, so super
and what
productive.
I thought was his worst game of the season was still super productive and found a way to get it done and will his team to victory, even when he wasn't at his best. That's what I like to see from these guys too.
Now, I'm not married to this thought from the Steelers' first-round pick if they do go that route, but I definitely prefer someone with size. I mean, Ben versus Pickett. Just the way that they get ragdolled in the pocket.
Totally.
Things like that.
Totally.
I mean, I would have a hard time between now and the draft putting a stamp of approval on a smaller dude. So I love hearing 6'4", 230 that can move.
And Dante Moore is not tiny either. He's
pretty well built
6'3",
too.
206.
Yeah.
But Miava at 6'4", 230 is
a big quarterback.
A big dude.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson from Alabama is starting to get a lot of mention in these first-round mocks. He's in his 4th year at Bama, not one of these portal guys. He's been there, 6'2", 208 pounds, over 1,100 passing yards, 13 total touchdowns. Really struggled in their season opener against Florida State, where Alabama went there to Tallahassee. I almost said to Tuscaloosa. That's where Alabama is. They went to Tallahassee and lost that opening game in kind of dreadful fashion to Florida State. he has been very, very good since then. Get this, Matt. He went into Georgia, right, and they're into Athens. 276 yards passing, 2 touchdowns through the air, a rushing touchdown, 2 rushing first downs. Right now, he is on pace this season to throw for over 3,700 yards, 42 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. At the moment.
Yeah, he'll probably throw an interception.
He'll probably throw an interception, but through 5 games has not yet.
That's huge.
He is one that is doing it against some good competition here. And again, a name that I just wanted to bring up that we would have on our list and in this conversation.
Good one to know. I didn't know much about him, but I did know things have turned around for Bama a little bit. Like they're not ready to execute the head coach again.
Monty Python?
Yeah.
They're not dead yet.
Not dead yet. Real quick on Georgia. Like, from what I understand, Georgia's defense is still awesome. But it's not like first-round pick backed up by first-round pick like it was the last couple of years. You know, does that sound right?
Yes.
I mean they have like 5 defensive guys going in the first round.
They are still one of the best teams in college football, but
Yeah.
they're not the absolute juggernaut that they were
Those couple of years.
Jalen
Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Walker.
Those
blah, blah,
years,
blah, blah.
they won 29 out of 30 games in back-to-back championships those 2 years.
It was one of the best college defense I've ever seen.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Guys all over it in the NFL.
Some
the
of them couldn't
offense
get
was
stats because they couldn't get the quarterback fast enough because the guy was behind. You know,
Exactly
they beat
right.
him to it, right? Yeah, right.
Exactly right. Lenoris Sellers, again, I know a lot of people are down on him, but he's been injured. Their run game is non-existent. Their offensive line is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They rank 126th, Matt, in Division I college football in pressure rate allowed. Their offensive line does. Like 119th in sacks per pressure. Some of that is on Sellers. He's done some of the I'm super athlete, I'm going to put on the cape and try and make a play.
I knew that was one of the summer concerns. Like I read, a lot of summer previews of these guys, and they said he can hold the ball a little and try to shrug off the 9 tacklers. But you also got to remember, the best example I ever saw was Jay Cutler at Vanderbilt. He ended up being a first-round pick, and I think they won one game.
Yes.
I mean, they were always over.
He's not at Alabama or Georgia or LSU.
He can't just game manage.
He can't.
He has to be Superman for them to beat those teams,
What I'm really encouraged by from him, other than the body type, 6'3", 240, the athleticism that we all have seen, averaging 15.3 yards per completion. That's top 10 in college football.
So he's driving the ball down the field.
Averaging 9.2 yards every time he tucks the ball and scrambles.
He's unbelievably hard to tackle. That much I've seen out of him.
He
is ridiculously strong.
Only got 1 turnover. Despite taking some sacks and trying to play like Superman, only 1 turnover.
Okay.
Your guy, John Mateers.
I think he's really in the mix to be first overall pick.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
He would, even though he hasn't shown his best through almost the first half-ish of the college football season.
But wait till he goes to Senior Bowl in the Combine. And,
he could still very easily be the first overall pick if the draft was this weekend. Mateer still out, had that hand surgery, expected to be back at some point. But I tell you what, I think it's I shouldn't say nice to see, but you could see Oklahoma's offense turn from dangerous to mediocre without him.
Okay.
And that's a real testament to him. And then, we mentioned Garrett Nussmeier, Matt. I mean, he's banged up as well, too. LSU's run game is not good. They're struggling. Their defense is excellent, but their offense is very bad. 115th in air yards per attempt, 43rd in completion rate, 112th in yards per completion. He's, I think, going backwards on some of these big boards.
He doesn't blow me away physically either. I mean, big, strong, fast aren't going to be.
He's also in his 5th year at LSU.
Right.
He's not a 20-year-old that there's a ton more potential there and juice to squeeze.
And I love Daddy's a coordinator in the league and he's super smart and all that, but that might just be long-term backup that ends up a multimillionaire spot starter guy. I mean, you got to have tools.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You absolutely have tools, and I just don't. He hasn't shown much through in that department. For again, a guy who's 23 years old, has been in this system now for a long time, and should be.
He should make it look easier, huh?
Yeah,
and elevate those around.
They should not be leaning on their defense to win games like they have been, and that's the reason that they lost to Ole Miss this past week for their first.
And they got a guy, right?
This season. Ole Miss does as well too. Oh yeah, I did not mention him. Sorry. Trinidad Chambliss was the last person I wanted to miss. He Wally pipped Ole Miss's original starter.
Yeah. Got
in because of injury, but played so well that Ole Miss has not taken him out. He spent 2 years at Ferris State before transferring to Ole Miss this past year. And just a a handful of starts, over 1,000 pass yards, 270 rush yards, 7 total touchdowns, a lot of explosive plays, very few negative plays, and he's got that run threat, dual threat ability. Won the Division II national championship last year at Ferris State as the starter before he transferred.
Seeing that. Right.
And I think, Matt, there's a real good chance Ole Miss has never been to an SEC championship game before in program history. He could be the guy who finally leads them there.
So this is really the first I've even heard of him. But this goes back to the Jackson Dart evaluation from a year ago. That's the most Mickey Mouse offense I've ever seen.
Glad you
it's
brought
not
that up.
even real.
Lane Kiffin manipulates those wide hash marks to
brilliantly.
A brilliant extent at that level of football.
Yes. I mean, and we haven't seen Dart really struggle in the transition, but that worried me to no end, and I don't think Dart's out of the woods yet either. I mean, that is a Mickey Mouse offense.
Yes, it is. And there's a reason why Lane Kiffin, through all his stops, has produced a lot of good college quarterbacks. I
think he's brilliant.
That haven't necessarily had the most success in the pros. You're
right.
He's a brilliant college coach. He's another one. Like, if I could have him as the head coach at WVU for the next decade, I'd sign the contract.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
But
necessarily...
his quarterbacks seem like they're his joystick a little bit.
Doesn't translate the best to how you have to play and how you have to win as a quarterback in the NFL.
It's a harder transition for these guys. Doesn't mean they can't.
There's our college quarterback
fun
update here for week 6 in college football, week 5 in the NFL. Couple more names that we'll get to next week as well too. I feel like, man, Hayes King from Georgia Tech probably deserves a shout out. Okay. Sawyer Robinson from Baylor probably deserves some spin here.
The preseason stuff I did on Robinson I thought was appealing. We didn't bring up Klubnik. We didn't bring up Uhler that much.
Sam Levitt from Arizona State's playing better recently. So again, like, this could be one of those 5, 6, 7 first round type quarterback guys. Type quarterback drafts, pardon me, come April. So this is something we'll continue to expand and grow upon.
Last thing I know we got to run, but he didn't blow me away at Georgia, but Carson Beck seems to be gaining steam.
He deserves mentioning in this.
Yeah. First overall pick just came out of that school last year.
Overall pick came out of that school last year. They're a top 5 team in the country right now, playing very well. The offense is humming. He's looking much more like the prospect people thought he was when he first got to Georgia. Now,
this is third-hand information, but I've heard a lot of people he really matured as a human being,
Good for him.
He's got his Lamborghini stolen or whatever.
I was going to say, I couldn't imagine someone paying me like $7 million to go to South Beach and me maturing as a human being, but good on him.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe going there like Ward did is good for quarterbacks. I don't know.
Maybe there's something there. Certainly. Hour in the books, another hour to go. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is hour number 2 of The Drive here on Steelers Nation Radio.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening, because the 5 o'clock hour is the evening.
The 5 o'clock hour is the evening, especially now, Matt, where we are getting dangerously closer and closer to that time where you and I are going to be driving home in the dark every single day.
Leaves are falling. I think I'm going to do a little leaf scooping this weekend on a bye week, things like that.
I think I'm going to get the last lawn mow, last grass cut this weekend, probably.
Kind of the same thing,
of the 2025 calendar year. Yeah, certainly.
Good bye week project too.
It is.
Probably getting a haircut on the bye week, things like that.
I got mine cut
you're
yesterday.
Looking good shape.
As our video producer TV looks over there and rubs his buzz cut and laughs at us. Matt, what do you say we do a little fantasy football focus here to get us started in hour number 2? Cool. A little stardom situm. From NFL.com here. Some big names with some tough matchups this weekend.
Yeah, it's an interesting slate of games. And there's a lot of injuries in the fantasy world right now.
A lot of injuries as well,
and
too.
we also have 4 teams on bye. I mean, in the fantasy world, when you start hitting bye week injury time, that's when the men become men. You know what I mean?
The road narrows.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Would say. A.J. Brown against the Denver Broncos. Start him or sit him?
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if I've referenced Matt Harmon on here with you, but he actually joined us at the Combine. I've known Matt for a long time. He works for Yahoo. He's a fantasy analyst, but he also has a site, receptionperception.com.
Okay.
He is widely regarded, and I 100% agree, as the best wide receiver expert out there.
I remember talking with him at the Combine.
Super impressive.
I think I might have been doing because you and Dale would usually have a third person for sometimes it was Max, sometimes it was Moats, sometimes it was me. I do feel like I was there when you mentioned that reception perception. I think
he's like your age because I grabbed him. Him and I have talked on Twitter a million times, and I grabbed him. That's the first time he sat down with us, and he was super nice. He's like, I remember Matt Williamson back in the ESPN days when I was a kid listening to his podcast.
You love the young people at the combine who toot your horn about how great
makes you feel really old. Though,
you were back in the day.
I do remember. I do like people talking about the ESPN podcast because there weren't many back then. But anyway, coincidentally, he's been doing a new thing on his site where he's just breaking down 3 or 4 receivers per week, and he did a deep dive on A.J. Brown's first 4 games. And I'm not saying you sit him because he stinks or anything like that, but A.J. Brown has been a top 3 or 4 guy for Matt for 4 or 5 years, an unprecedented stretch of being not quite Antonio Brown, but one of the absolute best for a long stretch.
If you're not AB or Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
I mean, but he flat out says A.J. Brown's not playing well. That he is struggling. He is not getting off press man coverage. He's not being used the way he has been in the past. They're not moving him around. And it sounds like he's publicly frustrated, too. I forget what he tweeted or something this week.
And he's
in a weird spot right now.
He's kind of doing the same thing he was doing this time last year.
Yeah.
And I think I saw a picture. As you know, I used to work for the Eagles and in that Philadelphia market. Okay. So I've got a lot of ex-Twitter buddies, still in that market. He hung up a license plate above his locker that said "always open" on the license plate. Just weird stuff like that. Wide receivers are goofballs.
100%. But he isn't playing to his normal level, and he's not producing to his normal level. And in the fantasy world, when you draft an Eagle receiver, there's going to be a couple weeks that they just run the ball and you get screwed. So he's going to get Surtain this week.
Tough.
I think he's a big avoid. I mean, this doesn't apply to a lot of people, but if you're just in regular redraft, I'm sure you're starting him. You don't have a better option than A.J. Brown.
Sure.
But I'm not paying up for him in DFS. I might even entertain trade options. If someone's going to give you a lot for Brown right now, I'm like, maybe I'd get out. And that breaks my heart because I think he's had an awesome career, and I bet he bounces back.
I think so, too.
Just not this week.
But maybe not this week. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Another stardom, sit-em. This feels, pretty. I don't know about obvious, but how do you feel about Keenan Allen against the Washington Commanders this weekend?
I don't know what to do with the Chargers in general.
Quentin Johnson, too, could be in this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, McConkey's been the most disappointing receiver in fantasy. He's not even he's the 3 now. And when he was clearly the 1, Johnson's really stepped up. They've used him in much better ways. People look at him like he's a prototypical Pickens, Metcalf, X on the line of scrimmage because he's big and fast. It's not how he plays. He plays a lot more like Debo. And Harbaugh's figured that out and is getting the most out of him. Allen's the chain mover, and it's just not leaving much for McConkey. But why I don't know what to do with the Chargers is losing both tackles is such a crippling blow. Are they going to go? They've been so pass happy, and nobody thinks about that with Harbaugh. Are they just going to go back to giving it to Hampton a bunch more because he's looked better and better and better, and Najee's out of the mix? I mean, he's fantasy gold right now. I don't know what to do with the Chargers. I'm kind of just in a holding pattern on all Chargers right now.
And wait and see how they respond after that tough loss in New York.
But I would be putting offers in for McConkey, too. I mean, he's too good to have one catch for 9 yards type of thing. Right.
He's been on the bench for me the last couple weeks on one of my money leagues. Right, because he's just been giving me absolutely nothing.
A lot of people used a second-round pick on the guy,
Same game here, other side of the football field, other sideline. Deebo Samuel against the Chargers. Terry McLaurin's out.
Is that definite?
Yes.
Okay.
I
knew he was highly questionable and was expected to be
maybe
out.
not officially yet, but dealing with that quad injury still and looking like at best he'll be, limited.
I expect him not to play. But Daniels is back.
Daniels, it sounds like he's going to play.
Yeah. At least he's practicing.
And that was kind of my thought process, that if Daniels is playing, Deebo Samuel feels like time to start him this weekend against the Chargers.
I wasn't big on him in the offseason. I just think there's so many receivers. I had him pretty down my list. But he's been better than expected as a commander. I mean, they have a good plan for him. They're getting the ball into him in space. He's running people over. So, I would start him with confidence.
Here's the sit-em portion of this exercise from NFL.com.
So they had A.J. Brown as a stardom.
They had A.J. Brown as a stardom. Yes. Yes.
They're playing the Broncos, right?
They are playing the Broncos.
I couldn't disagree more. In terms, it would not have been my pick.
I was surprised. Their kind of thought was like they have to keep their star receiver happy, and they'll go to him this week.
I get the squeaky wheel thing, but it's a tough matchup.
Very tough matchup. I don't want to start anybody against
No.
against Pat Surtain. Sit 'em, Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh, one other Eagles note I wouldn't mention because we've done a lot of work. You and I have talked a bunch about rushing yards before first contact, and like it got way better for the Steelers this past week. Well, the Eagles last year, they were at like 4 yards.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Barkley had more yards before first contact over the course of the year. He had like 1,000 yards before first contact. This year, they're really struggling. I mean, that O-line's not where it used to be.
No.
So, I mean, Barkley didn't get worse overnight, but now he's averaging like 2.9 yards a carry or something.
Their
crazy.
offensive line has taken a step back this year.
Yeah, there's injuries.
Some injuries.
Yeah.
And Lane Johnson is getting longer in the tooth.
Dickerson shouldn't be out there, and he's a great player, but he shouldn't be out there.
No,
So
agreed.
just don't assume that their line is studly.
No, and again, as I've said to you, I mean, my wife is from Philadelphia. My in-laws are all diehard Eagles fans. I worked in that market for 3 years, so I've got a lot of friends there. And despite the 4-0 start, they are not like all sunshine and rainbows.
No, they got some concerns.
Although, to be fair, unless they win the championship, they're never sunshine and rainbows in Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's champagne problems. I mean, they're going to be okay.
Yes. Sit 'em, Brian Thomas Brian Thomas Jr. against the Chiefs. I'm starting to get to the point. He's another one that I got along with Live McConkey that I'm really souring on.
Yeah, he has not fit well in this offense. And I think Jacksonville's been a very pleasant surprise as a team.
Yeah.
The offense is still uneven. Lawrence is still uneven. In the fantasy world, I couldn't have invested more in Travis Hunter, and that is not working out at all right now. I thought the only way Hunter would be relegated to not being great in fantasy is if Thomas just blew him away as the number one, and he's not either. I mean, Strange has been kind of interesting. They run the ball really well.
That they do.
Yeah. I mean, Lawrence hasn't been sacked yet this year. I just heard that today for the first time. I'm like, really? Wow.
Impressive. Stephon Diggs at Buffalo.
I'm the opposite,
Park
man.
Against his former team.
I invested heavy in him, and I am putting him in the lineup for sure. I love where May is.
He just had his best week as a Patriot last week.
He really
too.
looks healthy for the first time. He was absolutely featured. Like, remember when we broke down Steelers Patriots? Like, well, a bunch of different receivers are playing. Well, now he's like clearly the one. All those other dudes have fallen off against his old team with a hot quarterback.
Me.
Right. And I think Bill's defense is bad.
They've given up a lot of points.
Yeah. You talk about, these, like the Eagles, like everyone just assumes there's nothing wrong with these teams. Bills, tough matchup. Not at all. Their defense is a problem.
Sit 'em, Jerry Jeudy versus the Vikings. First career start for Daniel Gabert across the pond as well.
I know we're going to pick games, but I expect that to be a very low-scoring, bad fantasy environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. And when Gabriel in his first start in the National Football League,
right?
That's a tough ask against a tough opponent, tough defensive coordinator, and by the way, you're going to be in a 5-hour different time zone.
Right, and the defense is adjusted by that. I mean, the Vikings are already been there. I'm not the biggest Jeudy fan to begin with.
Final sit 'em, Matt. T. Higgins against the Detroit Lions.
Yes.
I'd sit everybody on that offense not named Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean, Higgins, you might not have the option to sit a guy like that.
Again, if you've got injuries and you've got bye weeks, it's your best option.
But I'm not buying him in DFS. If I'm starting Diggs over him, and people have drafted Diggs 6 rounds later than Higgins.
Yeah,
but I'd definitely start Diggs over
this
him.
Week.
No
Absolutely.
doubt. It's a way different, better situation.
It's gonna be tough for everyone on that Bengals offense going forward.
We'll talk about that game, but I think they lose that one by 1 million.
What do you say we do that when we return on the other side, Matt? Does that sound like a plan to you? Go around the NFL. There's a little fantasy football focus for you. Yeah, big game tonight between the Niners and the Rams that we will discuss.
Start all your Rams. The Niners pass rush minus Bosa has been non-existent. I just expect Stafford tonight just sitting there patting it. Puka, Adams.
High-scoring one tonight?
By the Rams.
By the Rams.
I think
we'll get
Niners are in trouble, dude.
We'll get into that a little bit more on the other side. Rams are 8.5-point favorites at home.
That opened at 3.5.
That's about as big of a move as you'll see. You see that sometimes in college football, but you will.
It went up 2 points yesterday. It was 6.5.
That's as big of a move in the NFL.
When I woke up, it went to 8.5.
As I can remember in a long time.
Because every Niner just keeps getting scratched.
Tough living in San Francisco right now.
Yes.
We will get to that game and some others when we return, go around the NFL on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It's The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Rolling along here on The Drive on a Thursday, and let's jump into some of the NFL action this weekend. Matt, an important one tonight between San Francisco and LA, a pair of 3-1 teams, but I think a pair of 3-1 teams that are going in opposite directions, as you just kind of alluded to before the break.
I think it's a terrible time for the Niners to play the Rams. And to cut to the chase, I think they lose by 1 million. I mean, I do think the Shanahan, McVay knowledge of one another, Harbaugh, Tomlin, that type feel might keep it close.
Maybe at halftime, it's closer than you expect. But
Niners can't run the ball. They can't rush the passer. They got backups everywhere. They're so injured. I mentioned I host the Peacock and Williamson, and Peacock's like, he's a Niner guy, said, if it were up to me, I would play the third-string quarterback, not even Mac Jones. I would rest everybody, lose by 1 million,
just take one
punt.
on the chin, and
right. Because
long week, get ready for next week.
Maybe Kittle comes back, and just realize that I'm just gonna take a dive in the first round.
Yeah,
they're in trouble. I think.
So you're confident laying the 8.5 with the Rams?
It's a big number, just keeps going up. But yes, I think Stafford throws all over them. Unless
it gets to double digits, I'm gonna lay the points with the Rams as well too. On to Sunday. Across the pond, this is nice now. We've got the 9:30, the early morning games are back, which is always nice. Minnesota, they were flying out of Did you see the video that Bill Crawford got, by the way?
No.
Of course, DVE morning show,
part
of the DVE morning show, our buddy Bill Crawford. When they were leaving the airport on Monday, for Dublin's airport, all the DVE gang to fly back here, they saw the Vikings waiting at their gate to fly to London.
Oh, wow.
And Crawford got like a video of them all standing in line to get on the plane with that song, "You Had a Bad Day, Take It One," as they were, like the day after a loss, getting on the plane to go to London, which I thought was pretty funny there from Bill. But the Vikings have been in London all week. I think Cleveland got there this morning. Cleveland is starting a first-time rookie third-round quarterback. Despite all that, though, Matt, I think the respect for the Browns' defense still remains, and we all know defense travels. Minnesota only 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and I bet a lot of people were expecting me to say, I think the Vikings bounce back and blow their doors off.
I thought it would be 6.5, 7.5.
I'm taking the points.
Yeah.
And I think the Vikings are much better than the Browns, and I think staying over there after just being there, I think makes a ton of difference. Isn't a huge advantage in terms of just adjusting your clocks and all those things. And Dylan Gabriel in his first start is a lot different than Aaron Rodgers as a 40-some-year-old dude diagnosing the Flores defense.
Totally.
I just think the Browns defense is loaded. And
might be the best in the league.
People are going to be sick of me talking about that, and especially Myles Garrett. Sorry, folks, but he is maybe the best football player on the planet right now. I think they keep it close, and I don't know what the O-line situation is for the Vikes, but they had a lot of issues, and I could just see this game 13-9-ish. Well, that won't get me 3.5.
That won't get you 3.5.
10-9-ish. I'll take the points. Super low scoring.
We have a neighbor on our street, neighbors that are from Cleveland. His name's Brian, and I was talking to him yesterday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him a lot of nice things about the Browns defense that I said I would never say on air.
Right. I'm not afraid.
I think 3.5, though. I think I'll lay him with Minnesota. I don't think, unless the Browns reach that point in the season where they just give up and the year's over, and that could happen by Halloween.
I would say that's probably on the horizon, but
they haven't hit that point yet, and so I don't think anyone's going to blow them out. But I'll lay 3.5 with Minnesota for them to win by 4 or 5 or 6.
Okay.
Vegas in Indianapolis. You talk about a tale of two teams going in opposite directions. I think a lot of us expected the Raiders to be a little bit better than they've been this year.
Yeah.
The Colts to be worse than they've been this year. That one, a 1 o'clock start in Indy, where the Colts are favored by 6.5 points, nearly a touchdown.
Yeah, I like Indy. I think Indy's a legit playoff team. Raiders O-line's been a real problem. Genty's getting yards on his own, fighting to get back to the line
maybe
of
the
scrimmage.
worst in the league.
And then they lost Colton Miller, their best offensive lineman. And Geno's trying to do too much. You mentioned that the other day. Bowers is banged up. The defense isn't real good. I think Indy should have beat the Rams if Adonai Mitchell doesn't be a goof at the goal line.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
I am with you with everything you just said. I just think the Raiders are in a really bad spot.
Yeah.
They're not in California, but this is another one of those West Coast teams traveling across the country for a 1 o'clock kickoff, which rarely goes their way. Yeah, that is a nice number, 6.5, but I think the Colts can win by 7 or 10, something like that.
I think the Colts are legit.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. What their ultimate ceiling is, I don't know.
But
I don't think they're going to fall off the face of the earth all of a sudden.
I think they're one of the most pleasant surprises in the league, and I think they're good.
In what could be one of the uglier games of the weekend, Matt, the New Orleans Saints host the New York Giants. Spencer Rattler, Jackson Dart. It is the lowest over-under.
There's two real stinkers.
Other than Cleveland, Minnesota, it's the lowest over-under of the week.
I think Miami plays Carolina too, which is there's
they do.
Two bad games.
That one's real rough.
I'm not going to get a lot of time on Red Zone.
Real rough.
Yeah.
Tickets available as low as just $21 at the Superdome in New Orleans here, according to ESPN. New Orleans 1.5-point favorites.
I don't know. I mean, no Malik Neighbors.
That stinks. He's a star. He's so much fun to watch.
So I didn't realize this till this morning either, but much like the Jamar Chase Sewell conversation, should he take Alt or should he take Neighbors in that draft? They both got hurt in the same game against each other almost for the year. It's like, just bad mojo.
Real bad.
I do think Dart gives them a shot in the arm, and their D-line's really good. Abdul Carter had a breakout game. I wish Neighbors was in there, but I'll take the Giants.
Plus 1.5?
If you're going to give me points in that game, I'll take points.
I think I'm with you. I think the difference is that New York front.
Yeah.
I think they're the best unit of both teams.
Yeah.
And so
they at least have something to hang their hat on.
They have something to hang their hat on. They have something that is well above league average.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm getting 1.5. I'll do it. I'll take it. What could be another ugly one. The Jets are back home, still looking for their first win of the season. The Cowboys are fresh off of their Sunday night football tie with the Green Bay Packers. Dallas at MetLife. Dallas 2.5-point favorites.
So I'm convinced Dallas games are going to be like Bengals games last year. It's just
score 40 to win, and then you might lose or tie anyways.
60 to 70 to 80 points a game are going to be scored. And I just don't think that's how the Jets are built. I don't think that's their style of game. I don't think they go back and forth, blow for blow against Dak Prescott. I'll take the Cowboys.
This is another one of those, what do you got to hang your hat on for me? Mm-hmm. And I know that Dak is a top 10 quarterback in the league right now.
Playing like a top 5 one.
Playing like a top 5 one maybe even right now. And I know that Dallas offense is good enough.
Yep.
Even without CeeDee Lamb, they're still good enough. They'll score some points. I'm with you.
I'm a little worried with Sauce on Pickens. Who else does stuff? We just saw that Steeler part.
That's a good point. Right. They don't have CeeDee Lamb there. They can really kind of focus on George Pickens. Mm-hmm. But I think Dallas can find a way to win that by 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think they score on everybody.
I think so too. I'll lay the 2.5 with you.
I thought the Jets would be better.
I did as well. And again, remember that Justin Fields stat? 0-25 when his team gives up more than 20 points.
They're going to give up more than 20 points.
Really good one in Philly. Broncos at Eagles. That's 1 o'clock as well too. Eagles.
I hate that 1 o'clock in Philly, a nasty environment. That's awful. But what's the spread in that one?
Philly 3.5-point favorites.
I thought it was over 3. I'll take the points. I think Denver's D keeps that close. They run the ball. But I hate going to Philly from a West Coast team. That's an awful place.
This strikes me as the Eagles do what they do, and they find a way. They kick a field goal or something at the end to win, or they block one or something at the end. But they win by 3.
Yeah.
So I'll take the 3.5.
Me too.
To me, that is one of those. I think Vegas is spot on with that line, and I will take the points with the Broncos, but the Eagles find a way to win an ugly one.
So I mentioned earlier that Myles Garrett is playing out of his mind, and as good as he has been, and trust me, if you do this now, you're part of the show full time. If you bring him up and say anything nice about you, the whole town wants to egg your house. I mean, he's like the biggest enemy.
Yeah, Matt Williamson lives at 123
right.
Main Street.
He's so good right now that he would be my defensive MVP. But the close runner-up is Nick Bonito. No one even knows who that is, maybe. I mean, he is such an impactful.
He just got a big contract from the Broncos this offseason.
I just wanted to mention his name because he is a problem. Yeah.
He has been an under-the-radar problem for like a year and a half now, but I don't think that that's going to last much longer if he keeps playing the way that he's playing.
Their defense is really good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Miami At Carolina.
Yuck.
The weather might not be ugly, but the play on the field will be there.
Yeah.
In Charlotte, Miami, a 1.5-point favorite.
I'll take the point.
This is one I would stay away from.
I will watch this game and the Giants-Saints game so little live. I think Bryce Young might be on the verge of getting benched again.
He might be.
I mean, Dalton's Dalton. You can maybe win a couple more games without him. It's kind of like the Giants-Saints game. It's a bad game. Just give me points.
Man, they once had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on that roster.
Darnold's lighting it up.
Did the Carolina Panthers. Did you see that from Baker Mayfield when he was asked about that? Like, he was asked in his press conference this past week something along the lines of, like, you and Sam spent time together in Carolina. Now you're both having success.
Yeah, they're going to play each other this week.
That's what it was. After having success. And, do you guys ever look back on that time fondly, anything like, and Baker was like, look back on that time. No.
That was a terrible time.
Terrible. That was a terrible. That's like what he said. He's like, that was a terrible time. But I'm happy for Sam and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We will get
Same draft class.
We will get to that one here in just a minute. But I thought that was pretty funny. Baltimore hosting Houston, two desperate teams.
Yes.
Still a lot of unknown around Lamar Jackson's status.
I don't think he's up playing.
I don't think he is either.
I think he's missing like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. Houston, Matt, they've given up the least points in the league by far.
It's a great defense.
By far,
Yeah.
and they're still 1-3. Did they continue? But they blew out Tennessee last week, a box that they needed to check. Does Houston continue to kind of get back to it, or could Baltimore maybe draw a line in the sand and say, we're not going quietly into the night? Houston's a 2.5-point favorite in Baltimore. When was the last time we saw someone favored in Baltimore?
I know. So one of these teams is going to be 1-4. And since 2000, 1-4 teams go to the playoffs 7% of the time.
It's barring a miracle, your season's over, whichever team loses this game.
I think Baltimore could get back in the mix easier than Houston if they were 1-4. But it's a nightmare. From a Ravens perspective, at least you're going to prepare for Rush. All week, as opposed to him getting thrown in the mix and looking terrible. At least you can prepare all week as Rush is your starter and play accordingly. You're not going to have design quarterback runs and Lamar stuff. And it'll be malpractice if they don't run Henry 50 million times. Even if it goes nowhere, and he has not got a workload hardly at all this year. So I would think you should be able to at least accomplish that. I just think what worries me more maybe is the Ravens defense. It's one of the worst in the league against the run, one of the worst in the league against the pass. And I know the Texans' O-line's bad, but Stroud and Nico and Woody Marks is now the running back. I don't love picking a road favorite in Baltimore, no matter who they're dressing, but I'm going to, reluctantly.
I think the Texans' defense is the difference.
Yes.
I just don't think Baltimore is going to be able to do much against them. And that will lead to a low-scoring, kind of sloppy, ugly win for Houston. If that number's at 3.5, I'm taking the points in Baltimore. At 2.5, I'll lay them with Houston.
Yeah, me too.
Arizona in a weird spot as well, too. They're hosting the Titans, still looking for their first win. That one, 4:05 p.m. at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. The Cardinals, 7.5-point favorites. That's a big number.
I know. I hate the number.
I know the Titans they're 32 out of 32 right now in the league, but that's a big number.
I can't take the Titans. There's too much wrong. But I wouldn't bet the game. I mean, to me, it being over 7 is I hate that part of it, and that's exactly why it's there. But I don't think they'll block Arizona's front. I think Kyler's way ahead of Ward at this point. Harrison started to really step it up this past week. McBride's a really good player. There's just Tennessee's so bad.
They are.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. The number is right where it should be.
It is right where it should be. I'm tempted to, I think, take the points, and Tennessee gets some kind of garbage time touchdown at the end, a backdoor cover. That's where I'm leaning
Certainly
here right now. But I agree with everything that you said.
Arizona lost both their running backs.
Both their running backs, Benson and Connor, both out. So hey, fantasy reasons could be a big week for McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr.
I would think so.
Seattle, Matt, another 4:05 game here. Seattle hosts Tampa Bay. This is one of the more intriguing
this is a great game.
This is a 2 top 10 teams in the NFL right now type game. Seattle 3.5-point favorites at home.
What shocks me is I thought Seattle's D would be one of the best, and it is. But their offense is at the top of the league, too, right now. Explosives. They're running the ball pretty well. Darnold's playing great. I thought he would come back to earth to some degree. I didn't think he'd turn into a pumpkin. Playing great. Seattle does not have the home field advantage people think, but Tampa to Seattle, I mean, like, that's a brutal
That's one of the furthest
too.
flights you can make in the NFL.
I'll take the points in what I think could be one of the best, most entertaining games of the week.
So you'll take Tampa Bay plus 3.5.
Because it's over 3, yeah. Tampa's good.
Tampa's very good.
Yeah.
Even despite being banged up on offense. Man, this is another one of those. If it's 4.5, I'm taking Tampa. 3.5. I think I'm still with you. I think I'll take the points with Tampa.
Okay.
That's a tough flight.
Oh yeah, that's not an easy situation at all.
That's a very. I mean, I think the only further flight you can get in the NFL is Seattle to Miami.
To Miami
is the only further road trip that you can make.
Even like New England to Arizona is not as far.
Right. Cincinnati at home, 425, hosting Detroit, one of the bigger road spreads you'll ever see for a road favorite. 10.5 points the Lions are favored by.
I don't think it's big enough. Because the way the Lions are constructed, and it's a Dan Campbell thing, they blow teams out.
They do.
I mean, like, there's some teams like the Chiefs that win a lot of games.
2 weeks of the season, they blew out the Packers and the Commanders.
Yeah,
they blew out the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, they take bad teams.
Sorry, they got blown out by the Packers.
Packers didn't go their way, but they have a history over the last couple of years. When they play a bad team, they win by 30. And I think that's exactly what Cincinnati is a really, really bad team.
That's a great call by you. I was nervous about that number, but you're absolutely right. The Lions blow out. They regularly blow out bad teams.
They do. They'll keep the accelerator down. They'll be going for it on fourth down. Right. Yeah.
It's a great call by you.
Gibbs and Montgomery will have 250 yards between them.
I'm surprised that's more like not like 12.5 or 13.5.
What's Cincy's fan base going to be like at halftime if they're losing 20-0 and they can't even like get a first down?
Crying in their Skyline chili. The Chargers hosting the Commanders. This is another intriguing one, especially if Daniels is back. Washington's at that point now where they got to start stacking some wins.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers coming off a loss that's going to tick them off at MetLife last week against the Giants. Chargers, 2.5-point favorites at home.
At home. Again, talked about this in the fantasy segment. Their tackle situation has me really in limbo for
one of the worst in the league right now. From maybe the best to maybe the worst.
Exactly. And that's the worst position for that to happen except for quarterback. But I have a lot of they were so promising before that. And I trust Harbaugh. I trust Herbert. I love that it's at home. They're not going across the country for a 1:00 start or any of that nonsense. And I don't know that Washington can take advantage of that tackle. Their edge guys aren't great. They don't have these sterling pass rushers. I guess I'll take the Chargers, but I don't feel strong about it. That's kind of a coin flip for me at that line.
I think I'm going to lay the points with the Chargers.
Okay.
Daniel's going to have to knock some rust off.
I don't know what to expect from him.
After being out for a little bit.
He didn't blow me away in week 1 or 2 when he was out there.
Right.
I'm not worried about it.
Same here, but I would echo that sentiment. I think just at home, Harbaugh gets those guys hunkered down, finds a way to get it done. Mm-hmm. Not pretty, but by more than 2.5.
Yeah.
They can win by 3, 4, something like that.
They'll have a good game plan for Daniels, too. They'll keep them pretty wrapped up.
I'll lay the points there with the Chargers. Finally, Matt, Sunday Night Football. The Buffalo Bills host the New England Patriots for an AFC East clash. One that has gone Buffalo's way. I mean, most divisional clashes there have gone Buffalo's way for a long time, particularly at home. They are 7.5-point favorites at Orchard Park against the Patriots.
I thought this would be closer to 10.
That number I thought, too, would be 9.5, 10.5.
Yeah. I'm still taking New England, though.
Yeah?
I'm so in on Drake May, and I was listening to a great podcast today that was really breaking down Patriot X's and O's and how impressed they are with McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, of how he's melded. Is that a word? I use that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. The Brady stuff that he used to do with the Cam Newton stuff he used to do in New England. And Drake May that doesn't mean he's Tom Brady and Cam Newton wrapped into one, but he's a perfect blend of the two, that he has so much at his disposal offensive coordinator-wise, because all the stuff he did with Newton as a runner and the physicality and all the smart stuff Brady did. He doesn't do it as well as either, but they're hard to play against on offense, and the defensive line gets after you a little bit. I just think the Bills' defense is being slept on for how bad it is. Like, they're a great team.
But defense needs some help.
Defense isn't very good.
It's not. Melded, to blend or to combine.
Good. Okay, that's how I've used it, and it comes out of my mouth. I'm like, I'm not sure if I used that right.
Example of a sentence: Australia's winemakers have melded modern science with traditional art.
Huh. Okay.
Look at you.
Yeah, we're melding Cam Newton and Tom Brady.
Those 7 years of creative writing at Pitch Johnstown are paying off for you, partner.
Finally.
This, to me, I'm laying the points with Buffalo.
Okay.
I agree with everything that you said. Their defense is going to give up points. I'm with you in terms of Drake May, I think, is going to be a very good quarterback. I think New England is starting to move in the right direction under Vrabel. But I think this one means a lot to Buffalo. For decades and decades, they got pushed around by the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's the last time they're ever going to host them there at Orchard Park before that stadium goes away this year.
And I bet they look at New England in the division like, if anyone's going to catch us in the next couple of years, let's squash little brother in the
Exactly
before he
right.
gets bigger than me.
Exactly right. Like, this is one that, even though the Bills, in this Josh Allen, post-Tom Brady, now Josh Allen era, they've had the very clear upper hand in this rivalry.
Sure.
They want to continue to make sure it's that way.
The little brother's starting to lift weights and look a little better.
Exactly right. And especially on Sunday Night Football, the last time we're going to host these guys in our stadium.
And think of the environment, people jumping through tables. And
you know that they only have one 1 o'clock home game at Orchard Park this year?
Wow.
I was talking to one of my buddies from college, is from Rochester, New York, so he's a big Buffalo Bills fan, and he took his 2 daughters to the game last week. And he was like, I had to take him to that one because it's the only 1 o'clock start all season. He's like, all the rest of our home games are 4:30 or night games or Monday night games.
I don't think you take your daughters to a Bills night game.
No chance. No chance.
Little parenting tip for you guys. Yeah.
Yes. That's an environment I would like to avoid.
Yeah, no.
And especially it's pretty soon they're going to be pretty stinking cold as
that
well, too.
Right.
But a great place to go see a football game for sure if you're of proper age to enjoy and experience
some adult
the
entertainment,
environment. Right. Yes. So that's our Week 5 thoughts across the slate of the NFL. We'll come back on the other side, put a bow on this thing. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment of The Drive here. And Matt, some interesting news coming across the timeline.
Okay.
The NFL appears to perhaps have fixed concerns with their kickoff after a major overhaul and some minor tweaks as well too. Major overhaul a year ago, and then some minor
the dynamic kickoff,
and then some minor tweaks this year. Teams have returned through the first 4 weeks of the season 78.3% of kickoffs. That's the highest rate over that period in 19 years. The NFL has seen so far through 4 weeks 519 kickoff returns. That's the most through 4 weeks in the history of the league.
So 2 training camps ago, spent so much time talking about the dynamic kickoff. Oh, they got Cordero Patterson. Oh, yeah, they got it all figured out. What's everybody going to do? It's the story of the lifetime. Then you go through the whole year, and it's like, stinks. I mean, it's different, but it didn't really matter much. I mean, you don't have to dedicate great resources to kickoff. This camp, I don't know if we brought up the new kickoff rules once, and they made a ton of difference, and I love them. And the kickoffs matter again, so that is super cool. They have fixed it. I think it's the best thing you could do. I have one complaint, is you can't do surprise on sides, but oh well.
I'm with you on that. But I think they have found the sweet spot here.
Yes. Kickoffs matter.
Kickoffs matter. The field position, I think, overall, and I don't have the exact numbers on this, but is better for the offenses.
Yes, the offense needs that help.
So the offense needs that help. And we all know, like, if Arthur Moats were sitting right here, he'd be banging the table. Yeah, everything we legislate in the league is for the offense.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
Because the O-lines aren't as good as D-lines.
The O-lines aren't as good as D-lines, and people like to see points as well, too, as much as people talk about smack mouth.
Bettors in fantasy football and right.
Only Pitt fans want to watch a 13-9 game, man. Nobody else wants to. And so, yeah, I think that this is good news.
I think they did a good thing. I think they made the sport better.
I think they found the sweet spot. Last year, it was not the impact that many of us anticipated, not just us on Steelers Nation Radio throughout training camp, but I think everybody around the football world.
Didn't change the world much.
But this year, with some of the tweaks, with some of the 35-yard line instead of the 25-yard line, big difference there.
I don't want to blast it out of the end zone.
You're making teams put the ball in play more, which is good. Now I think the next step of this, Matt, is I think now that there's been a real baseline and an over a year of sample size, I think we'll start seeing some more explosive returns eventually off of this.
Too.
I think that's kind of the next step.
And I also think teams will be more open to keeping the Devin Hester return specialist types as opposed to
Dante
we'll
Hall.
just throw Caleb Johnson back there and see if he's any good at it. I think teams will be like, I'm going to use a 6th-round pick on the 180-pound guy that runs a 4.2 that can fly.
Especially, this is the final piece of this, since this is working, since this is sticking on in the NFL, I got to think it's only a matter of time before we see this in college football as well, too.
Probably, yeah.
And when that's the case, then I think you'll really have the specialist guys because they'll start to develop and show their skill set in college.
But space players in college have existed.
That's true.
More so
at
tree archers.
No doubt.
Like there's all that space and people are slower. Like you can find those guys exist. That's the league just didn't want them because they're tiny and I can't use them on offense as much.
Didn't have a Dree Archer reference on my bingo card today, but
right.
That's a good way to shut it down. A big thank you to Bob Labriola for joining us in the first hour of the show. As always, a shout out to our video producer Tyler V, Mr. TV, for putting the YouTube thing together for us. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. It's Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.